Hello, welcome to Books and Beyond. I'm your host, Jimmy Bennett. We're going to go a little different direction today. We're going to have a panel discussion. We'd like to talk to people about CAPA, the organization we belong to, the Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association. We belong to the Southeastern chapter. It's a writers group that meets once a month, usually on Monday nights, the third Monday of every month. Lately, we've been going to the Groton Public Library. We did have to go switch around a little bit because of some construction going on at the Groton Public Library, but eventually we'll have a set permanent place. And if you just check the website, you'll see where we're at. So I have three people with me, three of my favorite people from CAPA, Nancy D. Butler, Larry Zaccaro, and Judy Ricketts-White. All have different reasons and slightly different variations on the writing game. So I just want everybody to understand where we're at. And part of the reason why I wanted to do this show is because I have a lot of people that come up to me and say, I want to write a book. I really want to write a book, but I'm not good enough, or I don't think it's, And back in, I think it was like 2015 or 16, I wanted to write a book. I've been a chef my whole life, but one of the things in the back of my head all the time was I wanted to be an author. I wanted to write a book. So I looked and I happened to see in the paper that CAPA met. Back then it was in Groton on a Monday night. And it took me about, 2 or 3 months before I got the courage up to even drive over to the meeting. And at the time, all I had was maybe 2/3 of a manuscript and a few more ideas. And I got there and I walked up to the hotel where it was at, and I was standing outside, and I actually stood outside and had a cigarette thinking, I don't know, am I going to go in? Am I not going to go in? Am I going to go in? I'm not going to go in. And this shorter guy with a cowboy hat came up to me and said, hey, bub, do you have a light? And I said, oh, sure. And I'm thinking he's a truck driver or something. Well, he must have seen the papers and the pen in my hand, and he said, you happy here for the CAPA meeting? And I said, well, I'm not really, published. I'm not really a writer. I just, but I was kind of thinking about it. He goes, I said, do you know anything about CAPA? He says, yeah, I'm the president, Tom Santa Cruz. And since then, Tom has passed on, but he's the one who said, come on in, see what we're all about. And it was really a wonderful experience. I think that I learned much about the business. Everybody's got misconceptions when they start writing a book. I'm going to write a book, I'm going to send it off to the publishers, they'll make a movie out of it, I'm going to retire, this is going to be great. Hot tubs, limos, this is the life. But of course, it's much harder than that. much harder, you'll know. But the one thing I did find was that there was a lot of people who were just like me, people that had other careers, some people that were retired, from all walks of life, but everybody's got a story to tell. Everybody's got something to say, and the thing is, writing it down is important. It's important for history, it's important for entertainment, it's important for a lot of things, I believe. And I have to say that as I went, meeting after meeting, I'll never forget it. Everybody would stand up and introduce, and they'd say, oh, I have 2 books published this, and I got a book published this, and I'd always stand up and say, I'm still the wannabe. I'm still the wannabe. But eventually, I did publish a book, and a lot of it was from the help I got from the people that in CAPA. They inspired me. They gave me little tips and tricks. They helped me put things together, and it was just, I wanted to, after seeing that these people did it, I wanted to do it too. And that, I think, is really the core of CAPA. The best part about it is the camaraderie, the helping the network. It's making people see what you do and then see what other people do. It's quite an experience. So I say this because, as I said, I don't know how many times people come up to me and say, oh, I want to write a book, or I'm writing a book, or I want to, but I just don't. Well, you can. You just need to do it and, you know, get a little inspiration and a little help from people that know how to do it. And that's how I started. I ended up publishing 4 books. I'm still writing now. I'm enjoying it. There's much to it. I won't go into everything about the marketing and stuff right here, but we'll talking a little bit about that. But what I want to say is that even if you're just starting out, even if you haven't written a book, or maybe wrote one book and weren't sure how to do it, or what to do with it, that kind of thing, come to CAPA and meet a lot of like-minded people, and you'll be surprised at what you're capable of doing. Yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to Nancy Butler. Nancy?
Thank you, Jim, for that. Yeah, let me give you a little background about CAPA first. CAPA's been around for 29 years, and they have chapters all over Connecticut. So there is a central Connecticut chapter that's in Avon area. Ours is the southeastern Connecticut, which is in the Groton area. And then we also have the southwestern Connecticut shoreline, southwestern Connecticut, which is in the Shelton area. 29 years, they were founded in 1994. So for me, I believe I had already written my first book before I joined CAPA, but I joined it from Tom Santos also. Right. And he was a great guy who really got this whole thing going and brought everybody in. But I think one of the bigger things to think about, there's a lot of great things that happen with CAPA, but some of the things are, regardless of what stage you're in, whether you're just thinking about writing a book, or you've already started writing a book, or you're gonna be writing a book, or you've already written and published a book, but you're thinking about how to market it, how to get it out there, CAPA covers all of that. Some of the things that I've seen have been like the networking. They even have parties, like they had a party on the holidays in December, they had a summer picnic, and they're in different parts of the state. So it's the networking, and sometimes you can learn just as much from each other as you do from the speakers. But some of the speakers they have brought in have been actually amazing. And next month, we don't have the exact date yet, so you'll have to check the website. But next month, we're going to be speaking on how to bring people in when you're marketing. When you're at an event, how do you get them to sell your book? Because a lot of people think you write a book and then everybody just buys it. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. No. Marketing is the biggest part, really. That's more difficult than actually writing the book. And I would say my second book took me 6 months to write. My first book took me several years to write, so it depends. And what's nice about even just the people sitting at this table, all of our books are so different. I mean, from who they're for, whether they're for youngsters or teens or adults, and whether they're fiction or like mine are nonfiction. Mine are helping business people. And so for me, the marketing has happened more through, I'm an international speaker, both online and in person all over the world. So when I speak, often I will sell books when I speak. When I'm speaking on a topic that's in my book, then I will be able to sell books. But everybody can't do that. And so CAPA brings in publishers, they bring in editors to speak, they bring in marketing people to speak, business plan writers, all different ways so that you get the help you need to be able to get your book out there and actually get it sold. And it's not an easy thing, but it's a lot easier when you've got friends helping you. Right. And one other real important thing, or a couple of things. First of all, there's over 200 members in CAPA right now, which is really nice. We had more. COVID kind of hurt that, so we're really looking for more members. The other thing too, check it out because the dues are really low. I mean, I don't understand how they function on such a low cost per year. So if you think you can't afford it, odds are you can. If you can write a book, you can afford CAPA. I mean, it's very, very cheap. And the monthly meetings, regardless of what part of the state you're in. So there's a lot you can do, and there's a lot CAPA brings to the table, which is why you want to check it out. Also, it costs nothing if you want to just come and check out a meeting.
Yes.
So you can show up at any meeting in the state. for the first time. Everybody will welcome you, and you don't have to pay anything to check it out. See if it works for you, and if it doesn't, then don't come back. And if it does, sign up. You'll be glad you did.
Yep. Very nice.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having me.
This is Larry Zaccaro.
Hello, everyone. So, I was a scientist at Pfizer for a long time and business development at Pfizer. When my career was over, I wanted to keep active, keep creative. The first thing I did was invent a game, of all things, which is currently on the market. But a couple of years later, I wanted to get more into writing and more into communication. So I actually joined Toastmasters International, which is a global community that encourages and enhances people's speaking abilities and helps with writing speeches and organizing. And it was as a member of Toastmasters that I actually found out about CAPA. One of our members, a new member, came and told me about CAPA. And I came to the next meeting, and the rest is history. I've been a member for 5 years. It's opened up an entirely new network of events and people and resources and friends who I'm currently sitting with, and just opportunities for so many signing events, selling events, vendor events, speaking engagements. I've spoken to CAPA myself a few times, and that has helped me to publish all the books that I have currently written and published, 2 children's books and 2 novels. One of the key resources that I was introduced to with CAPA was a company in Hollywood called Voyage Media that employs producers, and you enter into a contract with them and they help you develop movie screenplays. And importantly, when they're done, they go out and network them and sell them in Hollywood. So one of my biggest processes with CAPA was going under contract with Voyage Media and adapting both of my novels to movie screenplays. A romantic comedy, which is just finished now and is being read in Hollywood, and my science fiction novel, which is also completed earlier this year, which is being read by studio right now. Still no success. I haven't sold them yet, but that was a resource I never would have been introduced to, never would have taken advantage of had I not heard about it at a CAPA meeting. And it was actually during the pandemic in a Zoom meeting where the president of Voyage talked to us. So that networking opportunity and introduction of resources has really expanded my opportunities and for sales and just for social and for friends. And I've been on Jim's show several times, and that has allowed me to talk about some of my books and ideas in my books, and that has just been an enriching and a stimulating experience, which I am still in the middle of right now.
Yeah, right. And Judy Ricketts-White.
Hi, I'm Judy Ricketts-White, and I've worked most of my career in printing and publishing, and I started my business in 1993, my own graphic design and publishing business. So I've been doing graphic design, logo design, illustration, and printing for many years. And I always wanted to write a children's illustrated book. So I did one illustration, I sat down, did one illustration, and then I thought, oh, I should really start writing something. So I sat down and started writing. Well, 130 some pages later, I realized it wasn't going to be an illustrated children's book. It ended up being my first Slater Mountain book for preteens and teens, their fun fictional adventures. And my first book won a Moonbeam Children's Book Award. And then since then, I've written 2 other Slater Mountain books. And I've also published books, designed and done layout and cover design, and published books for other authors now. Several children's books for another author, and one that's an art book for an artist. And I'm working on one right now that's short stories for another author. Recently, I've just come out with my Slater Mountain Companion coloring book, which is all illustrations that I've done. So I've helped people with design, layout, editing, and publishing. And it's really been a joy for me. After working many years in the graphic design business and having projects that won Apex Publishing Awards, I'm just thrilled to be able to continue my publishing work, as well as now expanding my writing career, which I absolutely love. And I have several books in the works, one that's short stories for myself, and number 4 in the Slater Mountain series. But I really enjoy helping other authors. CAPA has helped me to meet fantastic authors with all kinds of abilities and knowledge, and having fun doing networking and collaborating with other authors to do events together. I've done events with both Jimmy and Nancy and with Larry and other authors, and it really makes doing the events more fun and a lot of times more profitable. And that's one of the things that we really want to work on is the marketing end. And CAPA they set up some events. They have a great one this October in West Hartford, I believe, they've started this event. This will be the second year. It's the Connecticut, is it the Connecticut Authors
Book.
Festival? Connecticut Book
Book
Festival.
Festival.
Annual book festival.
Annual Book
Yeah.
Festival. And so I think there were at least about 30 or more authors last year, and there's going to be a lot this year. It's going to be great fun, and they're really doing a great job marketing and bringing in a lot of people that are interested in reading and buying your books. So several of us are probably going to be there at this year's in October. And they've hosted many other events that have helped all of us authors for years. So it's really a benefit to be a member of CAPA. I've learned a lot and work with other authors, helping them to fulfill their dreams of becoming published authors, and helping with the publishing and even some guidance with the marketing, so with social media and other types of marketing. So it's just a fabulous organization, and as Nancy said, it's a real bargain. And you only have to pay your membership fee, and then all the meetings that you attend are free. Whether they're Zoom meetings, and they offer a lot of informational presentations on Zoom, or if they're in-person meetings, all the meetings are free. There's no cost to attend, which is a real plus. So I think that's probably about all I can contribute at the moment.
Well, as you said, the thing just to keep beating that dead horse, is the inspiration that you get with other fellow writers. I mean, it's a powerful thing. I mean, you can sit at home all day, all night long, whacking away on the typewriter, but when you actually sit down with people, and see that other people, the work they've completed and what they've done, and stuff like that, it gives you inspiration. I was never so pumped up every time I left a meeting. I'm like, I just want to go home and put a few more pages in. It's a wonderful thing. And the events, like you say, with the marketing is the toughest part for all of us.
Yep.
I mean, it's just not, believe it or not, you
You can't write a book and they all come.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, you can't.
and
You can't put the box in your garage and hope it's going to disappear.
And
eventually.
especially for first-time authors, navigating the quagmire of
Right.
self-publishing
Yes.
can be very daunting.
Yep.
So, and with CAPA, you have some seasoned authors who can give you some tips and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
ideas
Well, and
for.
think about the speakers that come in. I mean, we've had illustrators who talk
Right.
about how to illustrate the book. We've had editors come in and talk
Yeah.
about it. We've had people come in and show how to do online media, how to set up websites, how to set up a Facebook page for
Right.
your books. Anything that you don't know about writing a book, odds are we've had a speaker for.
Right.
I was a speaker for where do you start? How do you pull this together? How do you know what you want to write? And how are you ever going to make money at it? And what is your plan? And how to put a plan in writing and set a timeline and set up a budget, cost, and how to get through it all so that you have a plan to go from start to finish. Because usually we just come up with an idea and then what do you do? If you've never written a book before, how do you
Right.
know what to do? So now that I've done a few, it's real easy for me to, and I've even written business plans for authors
And-
on how to plug in your information and just go with it.
And I did a Zoom presentation on how to design a cover, on all of the aspects of good cover design. And I know Larry's done a presentation also.
I did one on screenplay, a movie screenplay writing, just
Right.
recently, just
Yeah.
a few weeks ago.
Right.
You wouldn't believe how different it is. The format of it, the content, it's an entirely different kind of writing. You have to be so efficient with limited space that has to be put into as few words as possible that the crew and the actors can work with. It's a whole different form of writing, but it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It's
And I've-
actually very challenging.
Yes, and I've helped several authors with their website designs. And I know Jim has helped with marketing ideas. And so we all want to help each other. We all want to see all of us succeed.
And Judy, you had mentioned about teaming up for marketing events. Some marketing events have a cost to attend.
Right.
And when you can team up with other authors, especially when you can team up with authors that aren't selling the same genre that you're
Right.
in. So if you're someone else you're teaming up with sells children's books and you sell, I don't know, for adults only kind of books, then I didn't mean that way.
Yeah.
But for adult kinds of books, and
Adult
there's
comedy.
a cost for the table, then you share the cost.
Right.
And so it brings a lot of your costs down and gets you out there marketing a lot more and being able to sell your books a lot more, which is really good.
Yeah.
So Jim, one of the things, as writing by definition is a solitary endeavor. You sit there alone and you're doing the work. And what CAPA does is allows us to come out of that isolation and talk about it and network more. I mean, when you're focused, you really have to focus and be alone, and you're doing your own ideas and creating your own scenes. But talking about it with other people and
Definitely.
once you have it written, just the networking, the ideas, and bouncing ideas off of people and stories. For example, just this morning, I'm working on Jim wrote A Castle Christmas, basically a Hallmark castle book about Gillette's castle with William Gillette as the main character. I've been working on adapting that to a movie screenplay. I'm about 2/3 done.
Ooh.
So just even this morning, I worked on that for a while.
Oh,
So
nice. Thank you.
slow progress because I was preoccupied with my own, but I am working on it still. And that's something he would never have thought to do, and I wouldn't have thought to work on someone else's adaptation to a screenplay.
Well, I mean, I'm just absolutely thrilled by that. I mean, because
It is set in Connecticut,
Yeah.
and as we know, they are filming a lot of
Yeah.
Hallmark Lifetime movies here.
yeah,
Yeah, they have
love to
been.
see it.
Great
It
idea,
is right in
Larry.
the wheelhouse of local movie industry.
And the other thing I want to point out too is, one of the things, and I've stressed this a lot too, people that write, if you want to write, it doesn't mean that you're going to have to be the best-selling author.
Right.
If you can write a story and you can get it published, even on Amazon, self-publish it, you don't understand, you will see the joy of getting that book in the mail. That smell of a new book coming out of the box. But that book will be there forever. And if you use a Library of Congress IBSN number, it will be in the Library of Congress forever. And it's something that, you know, I'd like to think that, I always say this to Larry and other people, I always say, I like to think that, you know, in 2078, you know, maybe some great nephew of mine will actually pick up a book and go, hey, you know, my ancestor wrote this.
Yeah.
My great uncle wrote this book.
Yeah.
And that's a joy. And people writing down your stories. One thing I've learned, I did some research for my family history because my mother wants me to write the family history. And one thing I've learned too is that there's a big difference between written history and really what happened, and oral history. When you talk to people, you talk to your parents, your grandparents, great uncles, stuff like that, they will tell you stories that's really the way it was. Not just, you know, what you read in the books and that kind of thing. And we're not that far out. I mean, I think now, even like the 60s and stuff, I think there's a lot of parallel between nowadays and the 60s with the way the shift in paradigms in society and anti-establishmentarianism, changing your view about how life should be, right? But
Yeah.
I was 10 or 11 years old at the time, but I remember. And those are the kind of things that I would like my children and their children to see that, well, yeah, there was hippies and there was, you know, ROTC guys and there was the war and there was, you know, but there was also just people like us
Yeah.
who were doing things.
I also want to point out that writing is very therapeutic. And there are, I've been encouraging, a lot of organizations are encouraging people like veterans who've had PTSD, people who've had maybe suffered in an abusive situation, to journal and write because it's very therapeutic. And some of these books being published is really a help for other people who
Right.
are going through similar
Exactly.
things. So there's all different types of books and reasons to write, but the idea is that writing is really a good, a great thing for so many people to do.
So, well, just to wind it up, I guess, you know, it's not just, it's the inspiration, it's the technical, it's the camaraderie, and it's the resources and the networking that makes CAPA such a wonderful organization. So, like I said, if you're thinking about writing, want to write, have written, please come check out a meeting. But also, we encourage agents, editors, anybody who has anything to do with the written word to come and
And
come to the
offer
meetings.
themselves as
Yes,
a speaker. even.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and offer themselves, and you know, and be surprised. You know, you might find some good business. So, anyways, thank you very much for tuning in with us today. We hope that we'll see you out there at a CAPA meeting someday, and you'll see us. So,
And we'll
take
be-
care for now. This has been Books and Beyond. Take care.